Let's start off with Intel, Jim. You've been a critic of the company in the past. We've talked a good deal about it, of course. In fact, we broke the news of Mr. Gelsinger's arrival right here on this program at exactly this time, not that many weeks ago. He is firmly in control now, setting a new plan, he says, and obviously investing a lot. They are going to be outsourcing more than they had in the past, but he says they're back. Do you agree?
Well, I think, first of all, he's got some bravado. He certainly is making a statement. He is on our network later today. There is let's say, a kind of a level of excitement from a man who started at Intel when he was 18. And he just did put on a great show, and the conference call was terrific. Do I think he got a free pass? Yes, because in the end, he did guide below consensus. I think if you try to do what he wants to do with Taiwan Semi, build your own foundries and also use Taiwan Semi will cut you off. I think that AMD has been lost in the shuffle, yet AMD is probably a couple years ahead of Intel. But I would do this. I would say this. If I were Pat and I wanted to come in hot and I wanted to make a statement both to my customers but also internally and then, of course, to Wall Street, I would do just what he did, and I congratulate him. But I still say that be careful, because in the end, David, when you report and your numbers are below consensus, and he said it, by the way, in what is the hottest market I've ever seen for PCs, I call into question how much you can change in a month. I mean, David, this is a battleship, and in 1 month, all these things happened. So I think we have to be a little more, let's say, nuanced, and I applaud what he's doing. But I also want to warn people who love the stock that it is very difficult to turn around Intel in just the very short time that
you pointed out, and it's true, and they will admit it as well. These are long-term. These are changes that have long-term implications, and not necessarily things that really will affect the short term. Let's take a listen to what Gelsinger had to say on the conference call last night.
Intel is back, right? You know, this is the old Intel is now the new Intel as we look to the future. You know, we're excited for the things that we are laying out.
I see a note here from Baird this morning, though, that says Intel is going back to its core manufacturing roots, leveraging its manufacturing expertise, both for internal production and foundry services. You don't agree?
Well, no, look, they do have someone who is terrific that can, they call him Kojak, Randir Thakur, who will do a good job. But, David, $20 billion for 2 new fabs that don't come online until 2024.
Right.
Is that really a threat to AMD? I say no. Is talk cheap? I think that Pat laid out a great roadmap. I think he is terrific. Boy, what a change in pace from the previous CEO. But I also know they're we call it 1.5 nodes behind AMD. And I think the most important thing, David, is just understand that as exciting as it is to be building these fabs in Arizona, Intel's tried that before, and it hasn't worked. They have to go back to the roots as being what I thought in the 90s is the greatest manufacturer in the world, early 2000s too. But the good thing is Pat was there, and he understands what that's going to be like.
No doubt. So, you've been a champion of AMD, as I pointed out many times
for
years
look,
now.
Starting at 5.
Right. And
I got off the Intel horse.
It has been one of the best calls that you have had, Jim, and you've been consistent in it. I'm looking again at this Baird report, though. Difficult to see how AMD shares can outperform at current multiples. Investors assess Intel's renewed execution. AMD remains a successful yet number 2 player. We doubt AMD will be able to exceed 20% market share in data center, while Intel is already coming back in PCs and emerging as a competitor to TSMC.
Oh, please. Oh, please. Lisa Su has a lead. Her most recent statements and the most recent conference call showed that she's become partners with a lot of companies that I never thought she'd partner with. And I really think that we have to start recentering on the idea that Pat is a great showman. I mean, when he comes on today, you are going to hear that Intel's back to the days of Andy Grove, and I wish that were the case. Intel's not back that fast. I mean, Mr. Swan ran the company. He didn't run into the ground. But, when you get a new CEO, you get a lot of excitement. But this is a very big turn that has to happen over multiple years. And then, AMD's got Genoa. It is so far ahead of Intel.
Real quick before I want to move away from this for a second, stand chips, though, because the chip supply, or the lack thereof, this is a story every single day, Jim.
Well, how are they going?
Now, by the way, it's not related to Intel, but at all. But
no.
But it is a broader story And when we come up, obviously, we hear Philabo reporting on it from the auto industry, but it affects even more than that.
Lam Research, okay, Applied Materials, KLA. But do they just suddenly have these are the capital equipment companies?
Yep.
Do they, he mentions ASMLF in the conference call, but do they suddenly have machines for him when everybody is back ordered? No. And I think that someone should ask Pat, hey, do you really have the machines? Do you have, are they going to jump the queue?
Yeah.
Ahead of Taiwan Semi for the machines that come from Lam. Yeah. And David, here's something.
Please,
if you're going up and saying, listen, we're going to use Taiwan Semi, but look out, we're going to compete against Taiwan Semi. Is Taiwan Semi going to drop AMD? They're Lisa Su, hey, listen, we're dropping you for about 9 months, and then we're going to come back to you when Pat competes against us? That's not the way this business works.
I know.
I salute Pat, but I'm just saying, let's just be a little more circumspect.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.